Flamingo Books. Social Studies with Case Studies Series 8. History. Unit 1, Our Past 3, Modern India.
Chapter 11. The Nationalist Movement. Formation of political associations. Prior to the establishment of the Indian National Congress, various regional and local political associations emerged across India. These organizations, often led by educated elites, aimed to address specific grievances and promote political awareness. Some notable early associations included the British Indian Association, 1851, the East India Association, 1866, the Indian Association, 1876, and the Bombay Presidency Association, 1885. While their scope was often limited, and their methods largely constitutional, these associations played a crucial role in fostering a sense of collective identity and laying the groundwork for a unified national movement. They provided platforms for articulating Indian concerns, petitioning the British government, and disseminating nationalist ideas. Birth of the Indian National Congress, 1885. The formation of the Indian National Congress, INC, in 1885, marked a watershed moment in the history of India's struggle for independence. Founded by Alan Octavian Hume, a retired British civil servant, the INC brought together educated Indians from different regions and backgrounds on a common platform. Initially, the Congress aimed at promoting greater Indian participation in governance and advocating for administrative reforms within the existing British framework. However, over time, its objectives evolved to encompass self-rule and eventually complete independence. The early sessions of the Congress served as crucial forums for discussing political and socio-economic issues, formulating demands, and fostering a sense of national unity among the diverse Indian populace. National movements, 1905 to 1919. The period between 1905 and 1919 witnessed a significant upsurge in nationalist activity, characterized by various movements with distinct ideologies and methods. The Swadeshi movement, 1905 to 1911, which emerged in response to the partition of Bengal, emphasized the use of locally produced goods and the boycott of foreign-made items. This movement not only had economic implications, but also instilled a sense of national pride and self-reliance. Simultaneously, a more assertive and revolutionary strand of nationalism gained momentum. Individuals and groups, often disillusioned with the moderate approach of the early Congress, advocated for more radical means to achieve independence. This period saw the rise of revolutionary societies and activities, particularly in Bengal, Maharashtra, and Punjab. Furthermore, the Home Rule movement, 1916 to 1918, spearheaded by Annie Besant and Bal Gangadhar Tilak, aimed at achieving self-government within the British Empire through constitutional means. This movement popularized the demand for home rule and mobilized a wider section of the population into the nationalist fold. Rise of the Gandhi era of freedom struggle. The arrival of Mahatma Gandhi on the Indian political scene marked a transformative phase in the freedom struggle. His unique philosophy of satyagraha, based on truth and nonviolent resistance, offered a powerful new tool for mass mobilization. Gandhi's leadership transformed the nationalist movement into a truly mass-based struggle, drawing in peasants, workers, women, and people from all walks of life. His early campaigns, such as the Champaran Satyagraha, 1917, the Kheda Satyagraha, 1918, and the Ahmedabad Mill Strike, 1918, successfully addressed local grievances using the principles of nonviolent civil disobedience. The Non-Cooperation Movement, 1920 to 1922, launched in response to the Rowlatt Acts and the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, called for the boycott of government institutions, foreign goods, and titles. This movement witnessed unprecedented mass participation and shook the foundations of British rule. Nationalist Movement, 1919 to 1947. The period following World War I was marked by intensified nationalist fervor, and a series of significant movements under Gandhi's leadership. The Civil Disobedience Movement, 1930 to 1934, which began with the iconic Dandi March, challenged the British salt tax, and involved widespread defiance of government laws. This movement further galvanized the nation and brought international attention to India's struggle. The Quit India Movement, 1942, launched during the Second World War, demanded the immediate end of British rule. Despite facing severe repression, this movement demonstrated the unwavering resolve of the Indian people for independence. Alongside these mass movements, other forms of nationalist activity continued, including the work of socialist and communist groups, as well as the rise of leaders like Subhas Chandra Bose, who advocated for a more radical approach. Swaraj Party. Following the withdrawal of the non-cooperation movement, a section within the Congress, led by Chittaranjan Das and Motilal Nehru, advocated for a strategy of entering the legislative councils to obstruct government policies from within. This led to the formation of the Swaraj Party in 1923. The Swarajists contested elections and managed to win a significant number of seats in the central and provincial legislatures. While their impact on policy making was limited, they effectively used the legislative platform to voice nationalist concerns and keep the spirit of the movement alive. Simon Commission, 1927. The British government appointed the Simon Commission in 1927 to review the Government of India Act of 1919 and suggest further constitutional reforms. However, the commission was met with widespread opposition and boycotts across India because it did not include any Indian members. The slogan, "Go Back Simon," resonated throughout the country, highlighting the resentment towards the exclusion of Indian representation in matters concerning their own future. The Simon Commission's report, submitted in 1930, was largely rejected by Indian nationalist leaders. Nehru Report and the Lahore Session of Congress, 1929. In response to the Simon Commission, an all-parties conference convened and appointed a committee, headed by Motilal Nehru, to draft a constitution for India. The Nehru Report, submitted in 1928, proposed dominion status for India within the British Empire. However, younger nationalist leaders, like Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhas Chandra Bose, advocated for complete independence. The ideological clash culminated in the historic Lahore session of the Indian National Congress in 1929. Under the presidency of Jawaharlal Nehru, the Congress formally adopted the goal of Purna Swaraj, complete independence, and resolved to launch a civil disobedience movement to achieve it. The declaration of January 26 as Independence Day further galvanized the nationalist sentiment. Civil Disobedience Movement, 1930 to 1934. The Lahore Resolution paved the way for the Civil Disobedience Movement, which was launched by Mahatma Gandhi with the Dandi March in March 1930. The movement involved widespread defiance of British laws, including the salt tax, land revenue, forest regulations, and foreign cloth. It witnessed the mass participation of people from all sections of society, including women and students. The Civil Disobedience Movement significantly weakened the authority of the British government and demonstrated the power of nonviolent resistance on a national scale. Despite facing brutal repression, the movement sustained the momentum of the freedom struggle and put immense pressure on the colonial regime. The Government of India Act, 1935. In response to the growing nationalist pressure and the recommendations of various reports, the British government enacted the Government of India Act of 1935. This act introduced provincial autonomy, allowing for elected Indian majority governments in the provinces. It also proposed the formation of an All India Federation, although this never fully materialized due to the reluctance of the princely states. While the act fell short of granting complete independence, it marked a significant step towards self-governance and provided valuable experience in administering the provinces for Indian leaders. Second World War and the national movement. The outbreak of the Second World War in 1939 had a profound impact on the Indian national movement. The British government unilaterally declared India a part of the war effort without consulting Indian leaders, leading to widespread resentment. The Congress initially offered conditional support for the war effort in exchange for a commitment to grant independence after the war. However, when this demand was not met, the Congress launched the Quit India movement in 1942, demanding the immediate withdrawal of the British. The Quit India movement, despite being brutally suppressed, demonstrated the unwavering determination of the Indian people for freedom. The war also weakened the British Empire economically and politically, making it increasingly difficult for them to maintain their hold on India. The end of the war in 1945 created a new global context, with growing international pressure for decolonization.